Hi, welcome to Jillian's Clinical Corner, episode 13. The topic today and for the month of November is diversity and inclusion in the school setting. So first, let's talk about what we mean by diversity and inclusion. From the University of Delaware, Center for Teaching and Assessment of Learning, quote, teaching for diversity refers to acknowledging a range of differences in the classroom. Teaching for inclusion signifies embracing differences. So for teachers, this means that your teaching can actually be enhanced if you embrace the differences of your students in a more inclusive atmosphere. What does this mean, though, for BCBAs and for the practice of ABA? Of course, we should embrace differences and work towards inclusiveness, but what does that actually mean? BCBAs and behavior therapists are providing services across many cultures and locations. So this includes home, school, and in the community, among other job placements, group homes, hospitals, etc., etc. This means that we have the culture of the individual plus the culture of the location, the family, the community, and so on. This is so many areas to take into consideration. Neely et al. In 2020 states, quote, the culture of a population can provide context in which to identify behaviors likely to be reinforced by the client's social environment, stimuli established as reinforcers for client behavior, and behavioral repertoires shaped by the client's social environment, end quote. This means that not only should we be acknowledging cultural differences in our clients, but we should be incorporating what makes them culturally unique into our programs, and that this is how we will actually get the most progress for them and the best learner outcomes for our clients. So last month we talked about perspective taking, and as we identified, we're not always the best at recognizing cultural differences or incorporating them into our programming, but there are ways to get better. Neely et al. In 2020 taught educators to be more culturally aware and how to make appropriate cultural adaptations for Latinx students. They provided a didactic training that taught, quote, evidence-based classroom behavior management practices, discussion of the influence of culture on student behavior, individual student cultural and linguistic differences, and examples of culturally responsive instructional and classroom management practices, end quote. They define culturally responsive classroom management procedures as the opportunity to respond in multiple languages, provide descriptive praise, culturally responsive signage, and cultural adaptations for instructional practices. For these researchers, 5 educators received behavioral skills training to provide the culturally responsive class-wide behavior management procedures, and all 5 improved their implementation of these procedures. 5 out of 5 educators improved. This research really has far-reaching implications. So this is demonstrating that if you work to learn the skills of diversity, inclusion, and cultural responsiveness, you can develop these skills. So just like any other skills that you work on to develop in yourself, if you work on diversity and inclusion and being culturally responsible, you can develop those skills as well. This shows us that you need to not be too worried that you don't know something or ask questions about what might be the best for your learner. It is on each teacher, behavior therapist, and BCBA to not shy away from cultural differences, but to actually embrace them and use them to enhance their instruction. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Please join us next month for another episode of Jillian's Clinical Corner.